Today on Bookshots, I'm with Denise Leith, the author of What Remains, a haunting novel about a female correspondent and the impact of what she's seen in some of the worst conflict zones in the world.
The title was only found right at the end because it had a different working title. It's to do with Pandora's box, and a lot of people know the story of Pandora's box, but they don't know that final last detail of Pandora was given this urn by the gods and was told not to open it no matter what happened. And of course they knew she was human and she would open it, as she did. And all the evils of the world flew out of Pandora's box. She was so horrified by what she saw that she slammed the lid down on the box, but she trapped one thing inside that box. And the thing that was trapped inside the box was hope. And for me, What Remains is about hope. It was, in some ways, very much my story of my disintegration with what I was unable to do with whatever it was that I did in my life as a job, and loss of hope, of concentrating so much on war and what happened to war and the aftermath of war, and the fact that I was totally unable to change anything about it. And I had a loss of hope for humanity. So Kate's journey is that journey and that discovery of hope. It's also about how we change and what of us we take with us and what we leave behind in that journey. I was quite surprised when I went overseas doing the interviews. I was away for 3 months and I travelled around and interviewed people, and I spent time with them. And the first time someone broke down with me, I had no idea what to do. I didn't know what was going on.
Was it a woman?
No, the women never broke down. It was only men that cried. It was only the males that cried. And I came to an understanding it was because the females would go home and they would talk. They would talk to someone, a friend, their lover, their husband. They would talk to someone about what they'd seen. They'd offload it, they'd process it to a great degree, whereas the men didn't. You'd go home and you did not want to take it back to your family. You did not want to take it back to your wife and children. You didn't want to talk about it. And a lot of them are like that. When you've left it, you don't want to talk about it. And a lot of them said to me, I've never told anyone what I'm telling you. And so I came away with this huge sense of responsibility of telling their stories, and which I did in bearing witness. But I gave them the words. And the book was written completely different. It's a series of interviews.
So you were really transcribing what they were saying to you?
Yes, yeah, to a great extent. But I felt this enormous empathy with them. And I'm not talking about the cowboy journalist or photojournalist, but the ones who really did care, and how hard it was for them to do what they did often, and the huge cost that it took to do that job, just like the huge cost that our soldiers have. It was never recognised that journalists suffered post-traumatic stress until quite recently, the last 20 years at the very most.
That's right. And in a sense, I think one of the things that you do so well in the book is you give a sense that Kate is completely addicted to going to these places, that what we now know of that extraordinary adrenaline rush is an addiction, and that she can't stay away, so that even when her editor is saying to her, I think you need to take a break, she doesn't hear it.
The other part of that is, I think, this thing that can happen to you in that here, home, is not the reality anymore. The reality is that war place, or that place where you are achingly alive, where you are really going to the edges of your abilities to humankind. Whereas here, how does one return to home after you've been in a place like that and have a dinner party? And
what do you talk about at a dinner party
what do you
when
talk
you've
about?
Seen what Kate's seen?
And you certainly can't say, as I say in the book, certainly can't say, oh, this time last year was when, I saw that family killed in the house in Kosovo. No one wants to hear that. And you don't want to take it home. So there comes a time for them where, and I think most of them recognise this, where you can't meld your two worlds together.
Thank you very much, Denise Leith. What Remains really takes you to the heart of the action in conflict zones, but it's also a love story, so you might need a hanky for this one.